morning. Hey, good to see you all. Look great today. Spring break, you back? I didn't know you were making it back Sunday. That's really awesome. Glad you're here. I can't see you. I can't see any of you. This isn't live. I'm not wearing an invisibility cloak up here on the stage. This is Friday for me. I'm recording this on a Friday. This is as close to time travel that has ever happened for me, that on a Friday I'm speaking to you, but it's actually a Sunday. I don't know what we're doing. It's different. Now, some of you are looking and it's like, oh my goodness. We're doing a video? What is this, COVID? We can't do a video. We're doing a video, and you think it's a bummer. You think this stinks. And my question to that is, why? Why do we see a video and all of a sudden it's like markedly worse? Now, there are some reasons, and there are some valid reasons. You have to look a little bit higher. You have to crane your neck. You have to make a decision, screen A or screen B. I know I'm like far more handsome in person, so there are definitely reasons. I get that. But often I think what happens, and this is an example of this, that we have a set list of expectations. That we expect things to go and be a certain way, and sometimes these expectations are actually extremely limiting to our lives, our relationships, and especially, I think, to our faith and to our church communities. Like, we have this mindset, even right now we're having it, where you have to have a church service where it's like 2 or 3 songs and then a live pastor. That's what you gotta have. Only a live pastor can present. And then even embedded in that is it has to be a pastor. What does that exactly mean, that it's a pastor? Like, am I a pastor or am I not a pastor? I'm ordained and I'm ministering the word to you, but like I don't have pastor in my nameplate, so does it count? It's kind of like this coin flip. Or at a church, the pastor, whoever is the pastor, must be the one on the stage speaking. That's the role well, a lot of it's just kind of made up. I had this happen recently. I gave a good talk. It was a good talk. I'm not fibbing. It was like a really good, it happened to Haley's Comet. Every 75 years it happens. I had a good talk. It was like a half-court shot. It went in. It was a good talk. And after that good talk, a guy approached. And you know what he said? Hey, that was a really good talk. And I was like, I know, super humble. I know, it was a good talk. And he said, where'd you go to school? That was what he asked. That's a good talk. Where'd you go to school? I was like, what do you mean? Like West Lane Elementary? Is that what we're talking about? Like where I could list you all of my, what do you mean? And he said, seminary. Then it got real awkward real fast because I sort of hated seminary and ended up dropping out. I'm not saying you should drop out. I'm not saying the seminary is bad. I'm saying it wasn't great for me and I quit. And then I had to tell him this, and all of a sudden you should have seen his face. That talk was not good anymore. Even though a second ago he was like saved and then he took it back like almost instantly because I didn't meet his expectations. I was about 31 credit hours short of ever meeting his expectations. I brought nothing to this fellow because his expectations ruled out that I could. And you came in here today and you didn't expect a video. Me either. I expected to be there with you, standing on that stage with you and giving you dropout level insight. That's kind of what the expectation was. But then life happened and death happened too. That my best friend's father died. And so as I'm talking to you on a Friday, kind of a Sunday, in actuality on that very Sunday, the Sunday you're experiencing right now, I am in my car driving 3.5 hours to attend a funeral. Let me say I would rather be with you than where I'm headed. I don't want to go to a funeral. I don't want to drive 3.5 hours. I want to spend 7 hours in the car. And the big highlight isn't going to some kind of basketball game or something. It's going to a funeral, to be cloaked in sadness and grief. And all week I've been thinking, I don't want to go, I don't want to go, I don't want to go. And what stays my hand and fixes my head is thinking, you know who really doesn't want to go? My friend, who's grieving the loss of his father. That's not how he wants to spend his Sunday. That's not how he expected to spend his Sunday. And then let's think about the departed one, the one who has passed away. He had a heart attack while vacationing at a tropical resort. Expectations. We all have these expectations, and they almost never pan out, but we just keep doubling down, more and more expectations. My wife watches this dumb show. I'm gonna repeat that she watches the dumb show. I most certainly do not watch this dumb show that she watches, even though I'm in the room with her. I'm just kind of monitoring the situation. And sure, if she's out of town, it might be on. It might happen to be on the TV anyway, just so I can catch her up. But anyway, it's her dumb show she watches, but this dumb show has this tagline. And the tagline is this: expect the unexpected. And maybe that's the best possible expectation we could have. When you think about expectations, you have to think about why do we expect things, or what do our expectations actually do for us? And they do some things. Like one of the first things that they do for us is they filter our perceptions. That at any given moment, there's about 11 million bytes of information coming at you, coming at your brain. Just billions of inputs throughout the day are happening in each one of our minds. We're just perceiving. Like right now it's happening. I am saying things to you on a screen, and there's all these things vying for your attention, and my voice, am I talking too fast, and your ears are taking in the input, and your eyes are seeing things, and you're making noises, and your neighbor's definitely making noises. You can hear them. They're like rustling their paper, they're scratching their pen. Oh man, does that person have a cold? All these things are coming at us. And then we think about the week behind that we just are walking out of, and all the things that have happened, all the billions of inputs. And then we think about the week ahead, all the billion, and then my phone is buzzing in my pocket. Is that actually my phone, or is that like some phantom vibration? What is going on there? And then what else do I have today? And then that guy mentioned his friend. It makes me think of my childhood friend, which makes me think of a jingle from my youth, which makes me think of I need milk on the way home. How's my 401k doing? There's some stuff going on in the world. Is my 401k? Baseball started this week, and that's what our mind's doing all the time. Just going and going and going. And it's overwhelming just to live. In fact, we're taking in 11 million bits of information, and we can't. And so we actually funnel it through to about 50 bits of information. That's what we're choosing to actually focus our attention on. That's what we're making our priorities. And our expectations help to rule out what is priority and what is not. Like you come to church, and what you envision as you step out of your car and walk in here is I'm gonna say hi to 6 people, shake hands with a couple. I'm gonna sit in my designated seat. I'm gonna drink half a cup of coffee. I'm gonna go to the bathroom once, and then we're gonna sing 2.5 songs, and then someone's gonna talk in a darkened room for 30 to 45 minutes, depending on how riled up they get. And they're gonna speak English, and it's gonna be from the Bible, and then we'll sing a couple more songs, and it's all gonna be very much in person and not on video. And what happens is, when we think this way, we limit the range of possibilities. Limiting the range of possibilities can yield composure, a sense of safety, psychological safety. You kind of know what you're gonna get. It can be comforting. And so we're doing that all the time. We're constructing patterns to simplify the living. And expectations are a massive way that we make life a bit more binary. Like we don't come in here and say, God can do anything he wants. No, we boil it down to you're gonna get in your car and say, good talk or bad talk. Not God did anything, he spoke through this, he spoke through that, he did stuff that I didn't even anticipate. No, what we say is, was that a good song or a bad song? Did you like the music today? Was the talk okay? It's just how we work, it's how we operate. Driving, you'll drive home and this will happen. That as you drive, there are just hundreds of cars that you're passing. And they're inputting all kinds of stuff. This happens with my kids. I'm driving. My kids are like, hey, Dad, did you see that? And it's like, no, because I'm trying to keep us alive. I have to watch the road. I have to choose to watch the road, perceive the road. I can't look at the horses in the field and what they're doing. We're doing this all the time, these patterns. And that's the second thing that these expectations give us. We've hinted at it, but it's self-protection. So we filter to make ourselves more safe. And so I get to choose as the arbiter of truth what counts and what doesn't. What I'll do and what I won't do. Like even now we have a bit of a social contract going on that you're gonna do certain things in this room and you're not gonna do others. So I'm gonna make you do something you definitely don't wanna do. There's like one guy in here, like Drew, if he's in here. Actually, I think Drew's gone too. Drew wants to do this. No one else in this room wants to do this, but this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna take 60 seconds and we're gonna say hi to 3 people. And you're like, man, I hate this because I skip my 3 hellos and I stand there like a dope for 40 seconds. Here's what I would tell you. This is a life hack for me who often does that. I'm a little bit introverted sometimes in this 60-second portion. Just go all the way across the room. So if you're able to and you're healthy enough to get up, you're gonna get up and move around. 60 seconds, it's gonna be a clock up on the screen. At the end of 60 seconds, please, I'm on video, I can't yell at you. Please just go sit back down so we can resume. But go say hello to 3 people. Make your way back to your seat. I'm gonna help us out. I'm gonna play a little bit of music as we're doing this. And then after 60 seconds, we'll keep going. So your 60 seconds starts now. start making your way back to your seat. Yeah. Go ahead and sit down. Thank you. Wrap it up. You can find them in the lobby later. Just gonna play a little bit more, ease you back in. So you didn't know you'd be up in the middle of a talk, that you had to get up and walk around. Usually you just sit there. And you didn't know that I'd be serenading you with this guitar and that I could play so well. But it's just in me, you know? So as we kind of keep going here and think about expectations, they left the music playing, didn't they? Yeah, you didn't expect me to play the guitar. You also didn't expect me to lie about playing the guitar. But yeah, I can't do this. There's like a flute in there. Like, you didn't see a jazz flute attached to me. No, expectations. You expect to come in here and do a thing. You don't expect to get up. You don't expect the person to have a guitar. You don't expect them to play. You don't expect them to lie to play. All the time this is happening to us thousands of times a day. In our spiritual lives, it's happening too. And I think those things are mostly fine, okay? That we have to live in a reality where we are filtering some things because there's too much coming at us. And we have to sort of self-protect ourselves in some ways because, again, there's so much coming at us. But now the third thing is where we get into dangerous territory. Are you ready for the dangerous territory? I'm on video, so I don't know. I'm going to ask you to say that you're ready. On 3, you're going to say yes. I won't know if you do it or not. I'm on video. But you sit there and I don't talk. I don't participate. I'm going to ask you to. You're going to say yes on 3. 1, 2, 3. It'd be funny if no one says it. I think maybe you did. I'm going to trust that you said it. But here's the dangerous territory. The dangerous territory is this: that our expectations can grow and rise into claims. That what begins as preference gets hardened into demands. So for instance, maybe next week or in a future week, you'll come back here and you'll walk in thinking this: I hope we don't have to greet each other. That 60-second thing, I hope we don't have to do that. And eventually that will morph into, we should not have to greet each other. And you could list the ways. And then that will morph into and become, I'm out. If they ask me to do that thing, I'm gone. Nothing good can come from that. I will leave. You are fired. It's over. This is what I'm learning with kids. I'm learning it in myself. That a lot of times when I think about the word entitlement, what I think is it's just wanting more cookies. I give my kid a chocolate chip cookie, they wolf it down, and they say, can I have another one? And it's like, you entitled little punk. It's not just that, though. It's not just this always wanting of more. It's also this becoming self-appointed expert on all things cookies. And then expecting everyone else to share all the same made-up standards that you hold. That's what expectations can do when it morphs into that entitlement. That our expectations, where they become absolute, they cease encountering reality as reality comes, and they demand that reality answer to you. And again, your expectations. That a church should run this way, and this way, and this way because I said so. That my spiritual life should go this way, and this way because I said so. That God should do this, this, and this for me because I said so. It's what I expect to happen. And this affects how we live together. It affects how we relate to each other. It affects how we do church. It affects what we end up calling things. It affects if we can do video every now and then or if we can't. It affects what we complain about, what we grumble about. What happens is fear drives us. Fear that things don't go to our scripted expectations of what growth is, or what community is, or what giving is, or what staffing looks like. And here's the thing. It's mostly made up. If I listed your expectations, and I got your neighbor's expectations, and I got the neighbor next to them's expectations, and on down the list, we would have a plethora, a myriad. We'd have thousands of differing expectations within one shared community. And what this reveals sometimes is a heart condition. It's a spiritual malady that stagnates, that keeps us from learning to move again. And in that, we miss marvel. We outlaw awe. That we go from expecting God's character to glibly sort of scripting God's behavior. Like, Christian expectation ought to put confidence in who God is. I can expect God to be good. I can expect him to be love. I can expect him to be just. But Christian expectation has to be open-handed and how God chooses to work. How many in here who are faithful, who are believers, who are walking with God, have been surprised by God? And if you haven't been surprised by God in a while, it's not God. It's you. And you're being limited by your expectations. I want to look at a couple scenes in Scripture, how this plays out. One quick vantage is in Luke chapter 17. Have a Bible or phone app, whatever, you can get there. Again, Luke 17, verse 11. It says this. Now, on his way to Jerusalem, Jesus traveled along the border between Samaria and Galilee. As he was going into a village, 10 men who had leprosy met him. They stood at a distance. So we have these men who have leprosy. 10 guys have leprosy. Leprosy in the ancient world, terrible. All right, sometimes it was a lesser condition, but oftentimes it was really grotesque. It was painful. It was sort of hideous to behold. There was boils and sores on the skin. It could be really, really tough. And what would happen is they called to Jesus at a distance because that's how their life is. It was lived at a distance because they were shunned from the community. They were deemed unclean. They couldn't be around people. People couldn't be around them, and no one could place their hands on them or vice versa. They had to call out a distance because they were distant from everything. And here's my guess. This is just my guess. I'm reading in the scripture. Sometimes we have to do that. It's just interpretive. It might not be true. But my guess is this, that they had lived with leprosy for long enough that they couldn't conceive of living any other way. That at some point, they just had become their identity lepers. There's no way out. That all their lives they've been leopard. All their lives they've been disfigured. They've been marked unclean. They've been looked at, viewed with fear, hatred, and distrust. At best, they're looked at with sort of this long-range pity, year after year after year after year, and so the expectation sets in that that's just who you are. And at some point, that happens to all of us, that we quietly sign off on whatever malady chains us, and we just are what we are. That our sin nature just wins. That you know what? I am just in bondage to that thing. That's who I am. I'm enslaved to that. That's just how it goes. That's who I am. Your expectation of a life in bondage becomes formed, rigid, and unmoving. Here's the question. Have you given up on healing? I'm not talking about necessarily physical healing, though I think we can be open that can happen sometimes. More so and more importantly, it's the spiritual healing. It's the emotional healing. It's the relational healing. As Kelly was talking last week, we just walk rotely in unforgiveness because we can't imagine a world where forgiveness could actually happen. Reconciliation could actually happen. And then you think about us communally. Have we given up on healing? As a church, as a community, as a movement. Again, it's Friday for me and I'm looking out here. Empty. There's no one in here. It's me. Some spotlights. I think Damon's in the booth. That's it. And the song comes to mind. I think it's from Les Mis where he is singing. I won't try and do it, even though I could put it the guitar and make it lovely. He sings empty chairs and empty tables. And it's a kind of sad, somber song. And then I think about this, just empty seats. Is that our story? We're just like a woe's me church. We can remind everyone of what we used to be or something. Like that was the win. Instead of just saying, man, God's got something incredible for us just right around the corner. We are marching on to get there. Full rooms, energized. Can we be healed? Or have we given up? Here's the reality from this story. Jesus changes everything. That he shatters expectations. That he defies convention. With Jesus, you see a lake, and all of a sudden, no, it's not a lake, it's a footpath. Water gets walked on. Wine is replenished. Food feeds thousands. Jesus changes everything. So you come to verse 13, these lepers, they go and meet him. They stood at a distance, verse 13, and called out in a loud voice, Jesus, Master, have pity on us. You get that? They see Jesus, and all of a sudden, something crashes through their expectations. It's like they know. Nothing works for this. There's no way out. Ooh. That guy says he's the way. Maybe there's one key that works that unlocks this door. Maybe he has the power to break these chains. Maybe he's the one. So they call out to him, have pity on us. Verse 14, when Jesus saw them, he said, go show yourselves to the priest. And as they went, they were cleansed. They were healed. The reason he says, go show yourself to the priest, because in that day, it wasn't like separation of church and state. It was like they were Jewish. This Judaism was everything. It was where their healthcare was, their government was, their religion was. It was all in one. So the priest had the power. And what the priest is going to do is going to look at them and look at their skin, look at their physical condition and say, you can come in. Oh, we have a seat for you. You can come to our weekend service. You can be part of our community again. You've had to be over aside from the river, but now Jesus, as he walks on water, laid down and they walked across Jesus, and now they're in right relationship with their community. You can come back in. And you see expectations happening. But now the expectations shift to, I'm healed. So I can do this, I can do that, I can go to Sunday lunch, I can do that, I can hang out with people, I can join a small group. I'm healed, so I do this and that. Of course, I'm healed, I'm healed, I'm good. What happens is healing for them becomes utility, that this was very helpful. I see the use and I moved on into a new pattern of new expectations as a healed person. They forget something. Not all of them. Verse 15. One of them, when he saw he was healed, came back, praising God in a loud voice. He threw himself at Jesus' feet and thanked him, and he was a Samaritan. So the reason why that's thrown in, he's the Samaritan, is because that was like the outlier. That was the person they were kind of racist against. That's the person they didn't like. That's already the outsider, the foreigner, not the one you would expect. Our expectations would deem it's, the holiest one came back. It was the lowliest one who came back. And he comes back, and he sees healing as utility. I'm well. But he also is able to see healing as unexpected mercy. Kindness. God's unmerited, beauteous favor being thrown upon him. That God doesn't measure out love in little cupfuls. He lavishes it on us, and he can see that. And so the other 9 go through the motions of worship. They go to the priest and they join the congregation, whatever, but they forget to go back to the source and throw themselves at the feet of that mercy. They forget to see how astounding this was. It's just kind of expected. No, this was all unexpected, and it was beautiful, and he is the true worshiper, the one who came back. And Jesus asked, verse 17, were not all 10 cleansed? Where are the other 9? Has no one returned to give praise to God except this foreigner? And then he says to him, rise and go. Your faith has made you well. Now, it's not like the others get their healing revoked. I don't think they become lepers because they didn't come say thank you. Physically, they're fine. But this guy's well. Spiritually, emotionally, by his faith. They miss out spiritually, emotionally. They miss out on the gift of Jesus because they miss out on Jesus. They miss the blessing of Jesus. This guy blesses Jesus. Jesus blesses this guy to go and live his life. And he receives that and gets to go and live his life. He remembers those words, that moment with Jesus. The others miss it. Now, I wonder how often our own expectations cause us to miss what Jesus is doing, what Jesus has done, what Jesus might do. I wonder how often our expectations have just killed wonder, that we are so bent on looking at what our numbers were in the past, or how many services in the past, or how healthy things were, or how big the staff was in the past, that we miss the people right next to us who are experiencing abundant grace. And maybe that abundant grace would overflow onto us if we could just open our eyes to it. I wonder how often our expectations have turned gratitude, turned grace into some sort of expected salary instead of what it is. See, grace isn't a salary where every 2 weeks we get the same amount. No, it's this crazy, audacious, reckless thing that just it's like confetti, and it just lands where it lands, and it's a beautiful thing. It's wondrous. Expect the unexpected. Glory in the mystery. Adapt to the improv of God. Be amazed, be open for God to move in unfamiliar, beautiful new patterns. Seems like wonder begins where demand ends. So I want to watch this play out one more time. This is Luke 19. This is fitting on today, because what happens is this day is sometimes called Palm Sunday. So this is Jesus entering into Jerusalem, the place he's been hovering around, the gravitational pull for him, and he's finally going there to do his thing, his ultimate work. And so he's entering in, and that's what gets captured. Jesus comes to Jerusalem as king. in chapter 19 of Luke. It's in a few other places, but I love this picture. It says, after Jesus said this, he went on ahead, going up to Jerusalem. He approached Bethpage and Bethany at the hill called Mount of Olives and sent 2 disciples. He told them to go get a colt, and they'd bring him the colt. And then verse 32, those who were sent ahead went and found just as he had told them. As they were untying the colt, its owners asked him, why are you untying the colt? And they said, the Lord needs it. And they brought it to Jesus, and they threw their cloaks on the colt and put Jesus on it. And as he went along the people spread their cloaks on the road. And when he came near the place where the road goes to the Mount of Olives, the whole crowd and disciples began joyfully to praise God in loud voices for all the miracles they had seen. Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord. Praise and peace in heaven and glory in the highest. Hosanna, Hosanna is what they said. And some of the Pharisees in the crowd said to Jesus, rebuke your disciples. So here's the thing. This looks like this big moment where Jesus is coming and he's entering in, and it's this wonderful moment. And he's a conqueror. That's what the people expected. The Messiah will be a conqueror, and here he comes. He must be the conqueror. And they're saying Hosanna, and they have their flags waving. You go to parade and you see American flag. That's what they had. Palm branches were kind of like this symbol, this national symbol. It's, wow, we're going to rise as Israel, and we're going to win, and we're going to conquer, and we're going to get Rome out of here. It's all this kind of patriotic sort of thing. Feels triumphant. And some of the Pharisees, 39, in the crowd said to Jesus, teacher, rebuke your disciples. And then verse 40, he says, I tell you, if they keep quiet, the stones will cry out. And as he approached Jerusalem, he saw the city, and he wept over it. So in the middle of this triumphal entry is this spiritual squabble. In the middle of this triumphal entry, the person who should be so happy and pleased, everyone's worshiping him, is crying, is weeping. He's weeping over the state of Jerusalem, and he's weeping over their state of their belief. See, it felt like a coronation, but it was a mirage of false expectation. They weren't bowing to who he was. They're bowing towards the expected version of him that wasn't true at all. And they were right to expect salvation, but they were wrong about what it would look like. And it was actually what appeared as a high point was really a low point, followed by a literal high point, where Jesus was marched up a hill against his will, but also very much in line with his will, because he was doing a thing, an unexpected thing. And there, the king who was inaugurated on Palm Sunday, and then they yelled, crucify, crucify him. The king is humiliated, crowned with thorns. The righteous, perfect one was condemned. The powerful word is silenced. The bringer of life is dying. One hailed in public by crowds is nailed alone, dying, abandoned in shame. And it's on that hill where we expect to be like, well, that's defeat, where the great victory was initiated. See, these lepers, they expected survival, but one discovered grace. The crowd expected a conqueror. They were given a prince of peace. The world expects death to close curtains, but God tears the veil, brings the Son, and raises Jesus to life, that life gets the final word. I didn't expect to be on a screen today. Oh, but God. Can we be an oh, but God people? An oh, but God community that doesn't define God's faithfulness by our petty preferences or how we feel in a moment, but who experience God's faithfulness in the myriad of unexpected ways it shows up. This series has led us to Easter, where we're trying to learn to move again as a body, as a church, as individuals, that we're trying to get joy back into our life, into our faith, in our thinking, in our character. So a couple quick takeaways, and we'll be really fast here, 5 of them. The first one, be open. Be open. There's a psychological test that happened. They took 2 groups of people. One were like pessimists, the other were like optimists. And they're going to get paid at the end of this study. And they had to circle all the E's that they found as they read through this newspaper type of thing, this periodical. Circle all the E's, we'll pay you at the end. There's a lot of E's to circle. But within that was this false advertisement that was in there, and it read this way: if you're reading this right now, you can turn this in and get paid immediately. And the pessimist went all the way through, circling those E's for hours. And the people in the optimist group often saw that, went and turned it in and got a bunch of their time back and got a bunch of their blessing immediately. Which type of people are we? God's got amazing things for us, and if we can approach him with humble joy, we'll get to see those things revealed in short order, in due time. So be open. Second, cling to God's character. That's what we can be sure about. That's what we can have certainty about. That's what we can have expectation over, that he has unfailing love, he has power, he has creativity to do whatever he wants, however he wants, even in different, unique ways. Even on screens, he can get through sometimes. For someone in this room, even though this is a lackluster talk, it will be the best talk they've ever had because God works that way. Allow that to happen. Don't cross your arms to what God might have for you. Open your hands and receive. Be open, cling to God's character. Third, hold loosely to your own scripts. I love what God says in the Bible several times, but to Job and his friends, where were you when I created this world? Where were you when I formed the foundations? It's not about our scripts. I'm not trying to boil God down to a math equation, to some storyboard. Oh, he's God. We said it a couple weeks ago. It's kind of like Aslan from C.S. Lewis. He's not tame, but he's good. He's not tame, but he's good. He'll do what he wants, but it will be good. It'll be surprising, but it'll be good. Be open, cling to God's character, hold loosely to our own scripts. 4, expect greatly of God, and then glory in the surprising ways of God. I love what he says. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Do you see it? I'm doing something new. If you're facing that way, you're going to miss it. Face this way. Face forward, and I'm doing a thing. Who's ready for that? Think about waiting in line with my kids for a roller coaster, and you wait, and you wait, and you wait, and then you think, man, should we just leave and come back later? And if you leave, you don't get to ride the ride. And then with my kids at that roller coaster, they're prone to get up to the front, and then they get a little fearful, and they walk straight through the ride. And they don't actually, they waited and waited and waited, and then the wonder of riding the ride, that's what they skip out on. No, let's go. Let's ride the ride. Don't walk through. Expect greatly of God, and then glory in the surprising ways. Enjoy what he's doing. Enjoy the ride that the living God has prepared for us. And then the 5th thing, be the one. Like that leper who comes back. Be the one who sees. Be the one who looks to God and says, yes, and. An improv sort of response to the living God. The one who dreams, the one who says and sings and shares and thanks. What if we're that community? What if we could learn to move again? Oh, the places God would take us. We're going to get a glimpse of that next week, especially as we celebrate Easter together. That's the beauty. We're going to try and do this together. And so as we roll into Holy Week, as we roll into Easter, let's just expect no lesser thing than the best day ever.